Hey everyone, and welcome back to You're Still Doing That, The Rethink, the podcast proudly listened to by tens of people all around the globe. Here's what's coming up in episode 8 of season 3, the Miller Update, what I have been watching, the rant. Again, for this portion of Still Doing That, we're going to be talking about the great Michael Wilkins retiring from Lee County Schools after 40 years and 30, I'm not sure how many years, as band director of Lee County High School. But we're going to talk about that and honor a great man. Quick stats on the podcast. Last week's episode brought in a whopping 11 downloads. And yes, we still have the one loyal German listener, and we had somebody listen from Russia, which is a little crazy. We've had 77 listeners over the past month. 68 of those listeners were right here in the United States. 4 were from Germany, our one German friend who comes in for every episode. 2 from China, and 1 from Japan, 1 from Russia, and 1 from Sweden. I don't know how China found out. That was a little more shocking than Russia. But since I started my little podcast, 27 different countries have tuned in to listen, which is nuts. And Singapore is number 2. I have almost 100 listens from folks in Singapore. So it's interesting who's chiming in from there. I'd generally love to hear from our international listeners. We've had at least our German folk every week. But chime in, leave a comment if you see us on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to give you a shout out, or better yet, have you on the show. And without any ado, let's go ahead and get on with the podcast. The Miller Update. School is done for me. I'm recording on Memorial Day, and Friday was our last day of school. I had 2 performances my last week, as most music teachers normally have something the last week of school. Kindergarten had their concert, end-of-year concert on Tuesday. And 5th graders, they had their promotion ceremony, or I'm not sure what they were calling it this year, but my guitar club played for that, which was fun. Hopefully next year I'll get more time to spend with that group. I didn't get as much time with them as I would wanted to this past year. So for this upcoming week, I've only got 4 teacher work days, and then I'll be free for about a week. And then I teach a camp called Kaleidoscope, which is for our academically identified gifted students, and it's for rising 6th graders. So it'll be 5th grade, basically. And they can sign up for all kinds of classes there. There's a wide variety of stuff they can choose from. I will be, normally for years I taught music. I taught music and theater with Mr. Ron Coley from Lee County High School. We sort of tag teamed that class, but the last 2 years I've been teaching video and audio production, which means the kids put together a newscast, just like what I already do at Ingram, and of course they're going to do a podcast. So this year is a little different. Normally we have one group of kids that stays with us for the whole week. But this year, the students can choose 2 classes. So there's a morning and an afternoon session, which means I have to do 2 newscasts and 2 podcasts in 4 days. So I'm sure I'll be working the logistics out of that this week while I'm on teacher work days, because it's not going to take me 4 days to close up my music room at school. Also, this is a special year. At least this group of kindergartners are a special year. They are my retirement class. When this year's kindergartners move out of Ingram, I will also be moving out as well, hopefully anyway. And I am so looking forward to that freedom. 5 more years and counting. Also, on a side note, be a little interesting. This group of kindergartners marks the first students that were babies during COVID. And so all these kids were toddlers when COVID hit. And the next I guess 3 years worth of students will all be born post-COVID, and so it'll be interesting to see behaviorally what's different, because this group of kindergartners is a little special behaviorally, I got to tell you. And word on the street, when I talk to teachers in other schools, they're all saying the same thing. Something was definitely different in the water, for sure. I guess I should say in the air, with this group of kids, because they are babies for sure. Now, a lot of them don't quite seem as mature as a typical kindergartner, if that's a weird thing to call a kindergartner mature. But anywho, it'll be see what happens next few years. Sophie is at the Piedmont Animal Refuge for internship. She sent us a picture. She braided the goatee of a goat the other day, which is fun. And so it's always good to hear her stories from things that happen at the refuge. She's also going to start working at Zaxby's as well to earn some money. Ollie is at Golden Corral still, and we're just sitting tight and waiting for Western to tell us what kind of financial aid she's got. And she's got orientation in July. Owen had his interview at Youth Build, which is a program through the community college. If he stays with the program, he'll get his GED, and he will be certified in construction. So he's got a 3-day trial at the end of June, and which I think is what they just do for anybody that applies. You have a couple days trial, and then if that goes well, then he'll be in the program in July. So fingers crossed that we are able to get him out the door and to Youth Build. Chrissy is on summer hours at the community college. They're off on Fridays, which means I got to stay later throughout the week. Let's see. We got some tree saplings from Chrissy's mom. One of our red buds that we planted last year did not come back here in the spring. So instead of buying a new tree, which we were going to do, but our local nursery was out of red buds, Chrissy's mom already had some saplings at her house because she's like that. She's got pots of all kinds of things over there. Anyway, so now our dead tree, which was probably about 7 feet tall in our front yard, now there's a little 2-foot sapling planted in the same place. We also got a second red bud and a dogwood tree from Chrissy's mom, but I'm not sure where those are going yet, so they're still in a pot. What have I been watching? I've been watching a lot of Star Wars recently. Our local theater has a Way Back Wednesday promotion where the movie is free on Wednesdays, and they're older films. Just buy a concession and you get to go. So they were showing what my generation calls the original Star Wars. And so they showed episode 4, which was fun, and Empire Strikes Back the next week. And then that was when I finished watching Andor season 2. And Andor is part of the storyline of how did the rebels get the plans for the Death Star for Luke Skywalker to blow that up. And then Rogue One is a movie about it. And so when I finished Andor season 2, the main character from Andor is also a lead character in Rogue One. And so Rogue One is the story of the rebels getting those plans. And so Disney did a series that leads up to Rogue One, because Rogue One is a fabulous movie, quite excellent, one of the better of all the Star Wars. So when I finished Andor season 2, I immediately watched Rogue One right after it. They flow together seamlessly. I highly recommend for all the Star Wars junkies out there. And then, of course, I watched Return of the Jedi at my theater. And then since I'd already done Andor and Rogue One and episode 4, 5, and 6, I just finished watching episodes 7, 8, and 9 as well to finish off the Star Wars series. I did not go back and watch the prequels. I just wasn't interested in doing that. Besides, I'd started with 4, so that was fine for me to finish up. Really fun. If you will finish Andor Season 2, which is different than any other Star Wars show. It's very slow. It's hardcore dramatic. Very, very hardcore dramatic. Slow. It doesn't get to a boil very often. Usually it's like if it's 1 to 10, it'll be at like a 5 a lot of the times. And then it'll get up to a 7. And it'll hold there at a 7 and go back to a 5. But it's a lot of fun. Very well done, very well acted, very well produced. Watch Andor, both seasons, and then go right into Rogue One. It's awesome. Very seamless. I've also been watching Last of Us on HBO. That is show comes off the famous Last of Us video game, which is a zombie apocalypse kind of thing. The game is fantastic. If you like gaming and you haven't played Last of Us, go look it up and see if you can play it on your system. We played it on PlayStation. I'm sure it's probably available on other stuff. The show was great. Last of Us Season 2 is fabulous. Almost just like the game, the first season. Second season, we've noticed a couple of differences, but it doesn't really bug me too much. I highly recommend checking it out, especially if you like zombie apocalypse stuff. Been watching Mobland on Paramount Plus. I highly recommend that if you like mob stuff. If you like Guy Ritchie films, Guy Ritchie does Mobland. It's great. Very, very good stuff. And then I'm not recent, but semi-recent in the last couple months. I watched a show called Landman on Paramount Plus, or a series, which is great. It's all about drilling for oil, or at least what companies go through. But Billy Bob Thornton is the lead guy in there. He's the blue-collar guy that's sort of in charge of all the wells and all the people that work there. And he's like a fix-it for the guy who owns the company. Anyway, it's great. A lot of fun to watch. Just crazy, gnarly stuff happens all the time. And Billy Bob is great. And I saw that the people that make Landman also make the Yellowstone series. I heard that was great. So I plowed through Yellowstone, which I really enjoyed. And I didn't realize Yellowstone has 2 series that are sort of like spinoffs of that. They're prequels. Yellowstone is current day, and Kevin Costner plays Mr. Dutton. I forget his first name. John Dutton. Yeah. Anyway, there's a 2-season series called 1923, which stars Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren's also in Mobland too. She's crazy in that show. Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are the Duttons, and it's a story of how their cattle ranch became the #1 cattle ranch in Montana. And there's another series called 1 season called 1883, and that's how the Duttons got to Montana and got their land for the ranch. So those are all great stuff. Not appropriate viewing for your children, but if your children are high school or older, then all of those shows are fine. Of course, great thing about Star Wars is anybody can watch it anytime. So tell me what you're watching. I love to hear it. I can comment on it. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are watching. All right, it's time for my rant, and I'm going to rant about gas pumps again. When you fill up your car or truck, when you're done filling up and you want to get snacks or go to the restroom or whatever, pull up and go park, man. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to a pump and pulled up behind the car to wait, and there's no one in that car. They're getting food or what. Anyway, they always come out with a handful of stuff. Pull up, people. It is so annoying. Also, one more rant that was annoying is Christy and I went to Costco, and we got there early, so we were standing in line, and there was a nice line formed, all very orderly, but as soon as we got like within a minute of the doors opening, people just forgot all rules and courtesy, and that line fell apart, and it was just like a mad rush for everybody to get in. And I mean, it's not like Costco doesn't have 1 billion of everything in there. I don't know, it was just driving me nuts, man. Just follow the rules, folks. Stay orderly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the You're Still Doing That portion. And today we are going to talk about the Lee County legend himself, Michael Wilkins. And Michael Wilkins is finally retiring as band director at Lee County High School. People have been probably asking him that question for a decade. When's he going to retire? But he announced it this year. And Christy and I went to his retirement celebration, which was yesterday for me, because I'm recording this on Memorial Day. It was at his church in their fellowship hall, and there was a ton of people in there. It was a 2-hour floating reception for Mike. And when you got into the fellowship hall, you automatically stood in line, and you signed the book, and you took a picture with Mike. He was, like at a Comic-Con, or Chrissy and I met Barack Obama one time. It was the same thing. Stood in line to shake hands and small chit-chat and take your picture. So I'm interested to see what all those pictures look like, whatever they do with them at the end. But yeah, it was a good time. We went with our friends Christine and Amy, and Christine was a clarinet with Chrissy in the marching band. We were Mike's original class. We were freshmen his first year at Lee County High School, or we like to call it Lee Senior. And so we were his first grade level that rolled through. Amy was a year ahead of us, and she played baritone. And so we all went together. Christine, Amy, and Chrissy are walking buddies. And friends for a long time, but here lately walking buddies. And so we all went together, and it was good to catch up with friends we hadn't seen in a while, and got to see some neat pictures with this and that. And so it got me reflecting upon my time with the Marching Yellow Jackets. And so I figured I'd talk a little bit about that here for the podcast. And my brain, y'all, is fuzzy. Trying to recall prior stuff, which is probably good because I'm sure a lot happened in those 4 years, but my brain's pretty cloudy. So let's see, my freshman year there, I was still at Wesley. Wesley was a junior high at the time, so it was 7th through 9th grade. And so the 9th graders, ninth grade was in high school. High school just had 3 grade levels. So my first year in the marching band, I was still at West. And so we would go to the high school Tuesday and Thursday nights was band rehearsal 7 to 9. It was not a class at the time. So we did everything in the evening, which is crazy. 150 person band, and we just practiced 2 days a week for a couple hours, plus a band camp in the summer. But it seems nuts to get all that work done with such a little bit of time. But my first year, man, kind of a blur. I couldn't play at all. The music was way too hard. I probably just played half notes and whole notes and just concentrated trying to be on step. But I had a lot of good friends in band. The Brian Godfrey, Brian BVA, good friend Nathan Williams, Joey Falk, all good friends in there. I'm trying to remember the music. I think it was musicals. So I think Don't Rain on My Parade was the first song. I can't remember. But I almost didn't join the marching band. My section leaders for that year called the house, to tell us when band camp was and all that good stuff. And I said no, I wasn't coming because it scared me too much. But then, of course, they called again and got my parents. And they were not happy with me when they had found out I had told them no. But my mom made sure I was there day one at band camp with everything I needed. And I wanted to quit the whole time because it was hot and it was a lot of work. But my parents kept making me go. And my mom said, oh, just give it another week, give it another week, give it another day. And then at the end of band camp, they asked me if I really wanted to drop out. But at that point, I had a spot on the field. I had been fitted for a uniform. We had learned several drills, several maneuvers for the halftime show. And then I felt like I would have been a burden or a hassle if I left them and there was a hole there. So I stayed, and by the time the first football game hit, I was hooked. Yeah, I loved marching band after that first football game, and you couldn't get me to not be in it. So year two was good. Had more confidence, played. I think the music was from Porgy and Bess. That's what Chrissy says. I can't remember. But year two was good. First girlfriend in band was year two. And let's see, year three, I felt real confident. Year three, could play all the music. I think we did some kind of a rock show, maybe House of the Rising Sun, may have been that year. We also went to Disney World that year, and that was a lot of fun. Let's see, Disney was interesting. Well, I mean, I had a ton of fun hanging out with friends, but somebody in our group got caught stealing stuff out of shops from SeaWorld, somebody in the band anyway, not from my friend group. So we kept hearing over the intercom as we were walking through SeaWorld, we kept hearing, Michael Wilkins, please report to the front. Michael Wilkins, please report to the front. And then this happened like for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And then like the directors of the Lee County High School Marching Band, will you please report to the front office located at blah, blah, blah. And our friends were all like, oh my goodness, what's happening? What's happening? Somebody got in trouble. And then of course, sure enough, when we got on the buses and got back to the hotel, there was a big sit down with everybody. And I don't know. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 or 4 people who had gotten busted for shoplifting in one of the gift shops there in the park at SeaWorld, and got put on a plane and sent home. Yeah, that was the big to do on that trip. I'm surprised Mike was allowed to keep doing trips because they did a trip every 3 years to Disney World, but sure enough, like clockwork, every 3 years they kept going back. So sorry, Mike. It was during my years that the big to do happened. Somebody told me at his retirement dinner that the kid stealing there from SeaWorld was on front page of our local paper and all that stuff too. So that's crazy business, man. Senior year was great. Also my junior year was the first time I took notice of Chrissy. She had a boyfriend in the band, but I kept trying to find ways to be in the same place that Chrissy was all the time during my junior year. At least I'll remember when we got on the bus for Disney, I wanted to be on the same bus she was. I kept trying to make my way to be wherever she was. I had forgotten about that until I was typing up notes for the podcast. Year 4, the biggest thing I remember about year 4 was that I didn't get a solo. We did a George Gershwin show, and I was begging Mike to play a solo that year, and he just kept telling me it was coming. Yeah, we're thinking about it, but I never did. But I did win section leader of the year that year, which I always felt like was like, here, I'm going to give you this award because you never got a solo. But year 4 was great. I absolutely loved being a marching band. I was in symphonic band, wind ensemble, stage band, marching band. I was in any kind of band music stuff you could do that last year. And then, of course, got real close with Chrissy that year. We started dating, went to the prom together. A lot of great memories through there. And then when I went to, when I finally made it to, I went to Sand Hills for 2 years, and Mike let me be an assistant band director while I was at Sand Hills. I wanted to see if teaching music is what I really, really wanted to do before I went to Appalachian, because I thought I wanted to do computers when I went to Western, but There's too much math for that, and your boy here can't do math. So before I went to Appalachian, I wanted to really make sure music was going to be my thing, and teaching music was. So Mike let me be assistant band director for a year, which was great on him. I got to learn quite a bit, at least the behind-the-scenes stuff and how things worked. And then when I got to Appalachian, every semester, some of the teachers there that would always ask me, how's Mike doing over in Lee County? They all knew Mike Wilkins up there because, of course, he went to App too. So that made me feel good that I came from a program that is well thought of, at least there at Appalachian. And then, when I came teaching here in Lee County, I started teaching elementary at Greenwood. I started a band program there, and Mike, his boosters bought music for me. So my elementary kids had something to play instead of just your technique books. Then when I was at Southern, Mike was just, he's real good for advice, and I was asking him how to do stuff because I didn't know nothing about anything when I got to Southern. I'm not sure how I got hired because I surely didn't have any experience whatsoever. And I knew there were other high school directors that interviewed for that position that had high school experience. So I'm not sure what made Mr. Hans Lasseter go with me, but I'm glad he did. So Mike was helpful about getting me started in the beginning, how to register for competitions, which ones to go to, how do I get a marching band show, where do I go for that music and drill. And then, when the new high school was built, they split, Lee County's, a lot of their students, it got split, kind of like a 60-40 split. 40% came over to Southern. So I got a lot of his band boosters, and they were a well-oiled machine. Charlie Wicker, who was my booster president the first year, was also booster president over at Lee County High School. And I don't know what I would have done without her, because she of course, knew what to do and how to get things done. So if I would, I'm sure I asked her, how do you do this? How do you do that? All kinds of little stuff that, I wasn't thinking about when I was doing the interview. But yeah, she was super helpful. And that parent booster program, the first couple years, immensely helpful as I was still getting my feet wet, because Southern didn't really, marching band there, we were good, because I knew how to teach music and how to write drill and teach drill, and I knew how to do all, but there's a lot of other things I didn't know how to do, and I wasn't very good at in the beginning. But about year 4 is when we started cooking, and so Mike was a big help in those days as well. And I could talk a lot about my time at Southern, but we'll save that for another podcast, because there sure is a lot I could talk about there. So congratulations to Michael Wilkins, 40 years of teaching. That is a triumph. There's not many people that go for that long. Without Mike Wilkins being band director there, there's a strong, you could strongly say that Chrissy and I would have never gotten married, never had our family. I could have never gone into music. Mike Wilkins being band director, that is a cornerstone in my timeline, to reference some Marvel theories there. Yep. Now, Mike Wilkins has been on the podcast already. If you go back to my first season, Mike sat down with me, and we recorded for a good long time. So if you want to ever find out how Mike Wilkins became the band director and legend at Lee County High School here, go check out that episode, man. It's good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I highly appreciate it. If you see us on Facebook or Instagram, drop a comment. Let me know what you think, or topics or things to bring up. Thanks for listening. I seriously appreciate it more. Keep doing the work, keep showing up, and remember, some of the best parts of life come from the things you're still doing. Be good, be kind, be nice, and everyone have a good week.